Hello, everyone. Jess Steinberg here with FSPN, Faith and Sports Programming Network, along with Athletes in Action, the total athlete program. It's really awesome. You know, we call it the three-legged stool, where you got, mind, body, soul, physical, the mental, and the spiritual. And that's the basis for a lot of things we've been talking about this whole week on Radio Row. I have a special guest today, Jerry Denninger, who's Executive Vice President and COO, right, of Athletes in Action. So, hey, welcome to your first Radio Row. Things going on. What's it like for you so far?
Well, it's been a lot of fun. Never been in here. Didn't know what I was thinking that I was going to see. So I didn't really have a whole lot of expectations, but really grateful that I had the chance to walk around and come connect with you guys.
Yeah, for sure. We're glad to have him here because obviously we're doing stuff. Our whole crew is Colorado Christian University digital media students, and we get a chance to interact with all the players, celebrities, everything that's going on here this week. Well, we got a big thing going on tomorrow. Tell us about that and why it's a big deal and how that works in a context of really having a sanctioned event that allows us to talk about Jesus.
You know, I heard a story many years ago by former President Wendell Deo when they were trying to get a meeting with the NFL to talk about the granting of the Bart Starr Award. Couldn't get a meeting, couldn't get access until Bart Starr called. And then he immediately got access, and they immediately said, oh, this sounds like a great idea, and we want to recognize an NFL player for character and leadership in the sport, family, and community. And there's a lot of great players in NFL who are living this total athlete experience out, mental, physical, spiritual, have a real faith dimension to their life. There's a lot of worshipers out on the field every Sunday on every team in the NFL. And this event gives us the opportunity to showcase what's working well in the sport of the NFL and who we can celebrate. It's a lot of fun.
This is all about, people don't realize, the players who are, these are the best in the world of American football, right?
Yep.
This is a platform for them. It gives them the ability to talk about things that matter and make a difference. We like to say it's about positive role models and good character. And more often than not, you'll hear the bad stories of the NFL guys.
Right.
Well, there's a ton of guys that are really on fire for Christ and are willing to talk about it. Look at Patrick Mahomes the other day. Jason Romano from Sports Spectrum asked the question, hey, who's Jesus in your life? Oh, Jesus is everything. You know what I mean? He when they finished the AFC Championship, it was like he did the Kurt Warner thing. Like, whoa, wait a second. Before we talk about football, I love God. Thank God and my Lord and Savior. Right? It's just amazing. So yeah, some neat things happening here. What else is going on for us as far as that? That's really interesting. You talked about Bart Starr called, and suddenly the meeting was important.
Yes.
No, there's influence.
Absolutely.
There's influence.
That's right. Yeah, so athletes have a platform.
Yep.
And so one of the things that we talk about a lot when we train athletes is the parable of the talents. And we think about the talent as your shape. It's like the whole part of how God has made you, and you have to maximize that platform the Lord has given you. And NFL players have a platform, and most all of them are maximizing it for something. And for those who are believers in Christ, we are trying to resource them to help them understand how to maximize that for his glory and to make an impact to the mission.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. Well, so it is really cool. The Super Bowl breakfast is a chance for people to come. You'll see some great videos, NFL footage. Interviews from all this week. We've spent, it starts with Monday night for us at opening night, where we get to go on the field and talk to the players. And then we have hotel days with them where we get to go to their hotels and sit down and talk. But the really cool thing is, we're talking about Jesus. It's so much fun.
Yeah. I'm so excited about what you guys do with CCU, with Athletes in Action, and bringing these students here to come be a part of this week. I just think I would have loved to have that experience when I was in college to come be a part of this. So you're doing a great job developing a young group of students to go out into the marketplace. It's really fun to see it.
Yeah, no, it's a blast. I can say thank you to CCU because what they did is about 5 years ago opened the door for me to come in. As a practitioner, most people in academia, you have to have your PhD and you got to have all this. Gosh, I'm just a bozo on the bus, man, but I've been involved in this industry for so long, and I'm a believer, and the way that we put things forward, as you can see, FSPN, Faith and Sports, right? That's the order. That's how we're talking about it. And it's been really interesting to be able to do that. But the whole mission and goal behind that is, how do we raise up the next generation of kingdom-minded, creative professionals and visual storytellers? And this is a pinnacle experience for my superstars to be able to go, wow, I'm putting this into action, and here we are.
It's about as big as it gets in the world of sport. I mean, we could argue there's a few other things bigger, Olympics, World Cup, but in the U.S., this is about as big as it gets as an opportunity to be able to develop and hone some skills and meet with some incredible people.
Yeah. No, it's really funny too, because I've had I have students that come to the school because they've seen these programs.
Yes.
And their goal is they want to be sports broadcast, like they want to do something. We had a kid last year who came with us. He's from Kansas City. And he actually came to 2 Super Bowls with me. And the first year, you could see when he showed up and Kansas City, he just kind of went, And I'm like, okay, you got to snap out of that.
He was fanboy for a little too long, right?
Well, it wasn't too long. He snapped out of it immediately. And the interesting thing is, so 2 years with me doing this, he actually got a job with one of the Kansas City Chiefs organizations that does social media.
Oh, wow. That's fabulous.
Yeah.
You know, when I think about people in your market and what you're doing, the opportunity that you have to actually help athletes tell their story. Some of them have never been trained. They're a little uncomfortable, but you can ask the right question. You can kind of pull the story out of them. And that athlete can sit back and say, all I did was answer the question. He asked me. And the opportunity I have to kind of mentor and coach to pull stories out with athletes who aren't comfortable doing it on their own, well, that's a real treat.
Yeah. Well, I will say, I mean, if God has blessed me with something, I actually have 8 Emmy Awards for my work in getting non-professionals to speak professionally.
Nice.
Right? I mean, they may not be comfortable on camera. They don't have any practice, but it's this. I mean, it's kind of like you and me sitting here now. If you forget about all this stuff, we're just having a conversation. We'd be drinking coffee in the shop, right?
Right. That's right. Absolutely. Yeah. You have to disconnect from some of the stuff, right?
For sure. Well, what else in kind of final thoughts around the breakfast, or, you know, things are going on here? How can we get in touch with AIA and the things that are happening?
Well, we would love for all athletes, professional, collegiately, high school, to be able to touch the total athlete experience. And we have a phenomenal facility up in Xenia, Ohio on the Athletes in Action campus with a new 65,000 square foot John Wooden family field house. And we have programming, dorms, food, cafeteria, the whole bit. So anybody who wants to have an opportunity to get some equipping from Athletes in Action, certainly go to our website, athletesinaction.org, and we'd love to have an opportunity to connect with them.
That's awesome. Well, Jerry Deniker, the Executive Vice President, COO of Athletes in Action, thanks for joining us today. Hey, you heard at the website. Go check that out. And we'll be coming back here for some more live streaming in just a little bit. Thanks for being with us. Everyone, Jess Stainbrook here, FSPN Radio Row at Super Bowl 59 here in New Orleans. We're working with Athletes in Action. Been a lot of fun this week. Hey, I wanted to have a chance to get our crew in here, kind of look at behind the scenes of all the people that have been doing the work, right? So it's been an interesting week. These are all students from Colorado Christian University, part of my digital media program there. And this is kind of like, the big test at the end where you get to do something cool. Well, here we are at the Super Bowl. So if you're interested in those kind of classes, sign up at Colorado Christian University, right? ccu.edu. Okay, we got that commercial out of the way. Well, I'm going to let you guys introduce yourselves and then give me a little bit about, I don't know, like we did last night, high lows and what's it, Buffalo or something? I don't know, something like that. So who are you? Why are you here? What's going on?
I'm Isabella Canfield. I'm here because I'm here. I don't know. No, a high, definitely getting to talk with the players about faith. That has been just such a cool experience. Getting to see them lock in and open up and giving them the opportunity to share a story that they may hesitate to share on the team. So that has been really cool. A low would be lack of sleep, but it's worth it. So yeah. And I don't know. Buffalo, just meeting some cool people and having some really cool interactions.
That's awesome. Jason?
I'm Jason Cavan. I have had a wonderful experience. I'd say probably my high would be looking behind the scenes at what's going on. And you see what happens in front of the camera. You see the people talking, but actually seeing where it takes place and then all that actually goes into what happens is incredible. And then actually being a part of that too as well. I couldn't be more thankful for the opportunity to actually be here. Probably my low for the week was seeing people but not being able to get interviews out of them. I think that's what everyone in media is trying to do. You try to get in contact with the people you want to talk with, but actually getting those opportunities is tough. And you can actually see why, especially in opening night when we were on the field with the players in booths. Trying to get to Patrick Mahomes, I mean, people were just crowded around. There was so much happening all at once. People pushing and fighting, stuff that I never even thought really happened behind the scenes. But overall, I mean, just so happy to be here and see what's actually going on here at Radio Row and in New Orleans.
That's cool. You know, it's funny as we sit here and do our live thing. What Jason is saying is right. You only see our background and we're looking out here and you've seen the last couple of days, I've actually taken you on like a phone tour and we'll do that later. We'll set it up. Maybe we'll do that double screen thing again where I just kind of pointed out there, but there's probably 250 tables around here with people all sitting kind of like this, doing their live broadcasts. But it's all the folks that were fighting for the chance to get interviews with the players and things like that. So like they said, it's kind of difficult. It was cool opening night. I mean, I know you guys were kind of stuck in the line, but I zipped through somehow. Even Steven lost me where I was there front and center on the quarterbacks, which we really pride ourselves on being one of the first people in the stadium to set up. So we get that NFL looking shot, right? The network looking shot. And our stuff looks great because of it. And we record the quarterback interviews all the way through. So every question that's asked, we get a chance to do that. Tell me some things like, what are some of the questions that you got a chance to ask people? And then the answers that came up, whether it was a surprise or whether it was what you wanted, how did that kind of stuff go?
So we asked a lot of questions for FSPN related to faith, family, and football, and a lot of the players responded more in depth than I thought, especially given like what I was told from last year. We had a player who was talking about how number 23, how it was even like he chose his number based off of Psalm 23 and other things like that. So getting to see kind of the why. And I got to talk to one of the personnel coaches as well, who wasn't a chaplain and wasn't like a head coach, but he had a lot to say about faith as well, which is really cool.
That's cool. How about you?
Yeah, for me, I mean, we asked about mind, body, soul, how players find a balance between those three things in their life as an athlete. And then if the subject of faith comes up for them, we follow up with that. One of the interesting things was on opening night, I asked a player about his faith and he said, "That's funny you ask. I actually have faith and family tattooed on my chest." And
did he go like this?
I wish. But hearing those answers from the players and seeing that there are like Christians in that space, but maybe you don't hear that quite as much because they're asking about or answering questions about what plays occurred or what happened on the last game, what they're expecting coming up. And at FSPN and Total Athlete, what we get to do is ask them about their faith. And get completely different answers out of them. I think for some of them, it caught them off guard to answer about what they think about God. But for some of them, they were definitely ready and very outspoken about what they believed. So it was awesome.
It is really cool because obviously most everybody that's here is here to talk about football. And when we do ask a faith question, it almost throws like this hiccup, like a little speed bump. And yet after that, it's almost like everything disappears and we're in this one-on-one conversation. And it's amazing. I mean, what it indicates to me is that we actually just hit on the thing that these guys want to talk about, but most of the people won't ask them, or they won't, you see what I'm saying? Won't give them a chance to talk about it. I mean, that's like what Jerry just shared with us from AIA, right? We have the ability as media people working in a media environment to ask the questions that allow these guys to share the things that are important to them in life, right? I mean, somebody talks about the double nickel quarterback, blah, blah. I don't even know what that is. You know, I wouldn't recognize if it hit me with a car, right? But talking about our faith, right? That's where we all live. So, yeah, it's really cool. What else?
Another question that I was asking a lot of the players had to do with the My Cause, My Cleats initiative in November. So getting to hear like what nonprofit or organization they wanted to support and getting to ask them like why they're passionate about it was really cool. Off the top of my head, I can't remember anything specific, but like you were mentioning, like getting to the root of like, what are you passionate about? Like what matters to you? What are your values versus like plays and what everyone else is talking about? And then I feel like it becomes like we're less like media of like trying to bombard them like paparazzi. And then it's more of like a one-on-one conversation, which is really cool to see them open up.
I think a lot of times I mean, in general, the caution is that media is usually trying to make you look bad. You know what I mean? And I think when we ask our questions, we're on their side. We're trying to encourage a bigger conversation that could really impact other people's lives, right? So, yeah, no, it's really interesting. What else from you?
You know, I asked a lot of questions about the faith family football aspect, but I also spent a lot of time behind the camera with other people on our team talking about what their topics were for just overall this entire trip. What I've done is try to get more behind the scenes look of what's going on and just all the processes and things going on around that. So I didn't have as much interaction with the players as some of the other people on our team did, but I was right there behind the camera and witnessing it all. Taking a step back and being able to see it also let me see their genuine reactions from the questions that were asked and the impact that maybe it made on them to hear a question about something that was other than the same football questions over and over again.
Well, that's the hard part too, is because some, like, they have their stories that they're pursuing too, right? So they'll jump in, ask a question, and then they jump out. Like when we spend the whole hour with the quarterbacks, we've heard everything. Well, the jump in and jump out people are just asking their question, and the guy right before him just asked the same question. You know, I mean, I've actually seen, who was that guy? Ben, the Chicago Bears quarterback back at Super Bowl 41. Somebody stepped up and said something, and a guy said, seriously, the quarterback, and he was young, he was like a 23-year-old. He goes, seriously? Dude, that's the stupidest question I've ever heard. And I'm like, you didn't get any PR media coaching, did you, man? I mean, he totally like, go away. You're an idiot, you know? I'm like, oh my gosh, but yeah, I mean, that's how it feels when you're standing there a little bit longer, listening to a deeper conversation. I mean, when you think about it, these guys have 1 hour. I mean, I remember Aaron Rodgers and his whole thing of, he literally is like, and they're like, and now we announce, you know, it's media night or opening night, blah, 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 and go 60 minutes. And he's like, okay, maybe I can just sit here for a while and nobody will ask me a question. It's hard work. I mean, these guys are football guys. They don't want it. This is the hardest thing they got to do all week, right? It's funny because that week with Aaron Rodgers, it was really funny. I was doing some stuff and one of my friends texts me and goes, oh my gosh, I'm watching the NFL Network and Aaron Rodgers had this great faith quote. And so I'm actually standing there and I text him back. I'm like, duh. I just asked the question. He's like, what? No, that's crazy. Aaron Rodgers is the one too. He's like, he's the one who did the St. Francis of Assisi quote. He's like, somebody asked him, what do you think, Faith? Well, we should always preach the gospel at all times and use words if necessary. I'm like, oh, hey, that's pretty cool, So I attribute that quote to Aaron, not to St. Francis. So I don't know. What else? What else is on your mind?
Yesterday we got some of us got to go to the Super Bowl experience. So I spent a good hour and a half getting B-roll, which was really cool. Got to talk to a lot of kids and film content of them and just see them and families, their families experiencing the Super Bowl and preparing for the week.
Nate?
Super Bowl experience was great. Seeing how massive the area was, the different events that the parents and kids and families and friends were able to take part of, and seeing that happen from people that are from all over the U.S. And from around the world, asking them questions about where they're from and what they do, what they're doing, what they're planning on doing. It's even people that aren't planning on going to the game. It's just a big attraction for everyone, doing a lot of different fun things.
Well, and that's for people that don't know, Super Bowl week is a thing. And if all you do is watch the game, you think it's just about Sunday. Man, this whole week there's stuff. There's parties, there's events, there's special things where you can meet players and get autographs and just all kinds of stuff that's happening. And we as media get a chance to be part of those things. You guys went to the halftime press conference, right? So the show at halftime, we got a press conference here. You got a chance to go Fox Media press conference, right? All of the commentators, we get a chance to talk with them. So there is some really cool stuff that we get to do, but from a fan experience and family experience, all kinds of cool things around Super Bowl week, Any final thoughts as we're wrapping this thing up for you guys, and we'll get some more students in here to do their thing.
I actually have a question for you. What has been your favorite part this week? Because you've been to a lot of Super Bowls and you go with different groups of students each year. What has stood out to you?
So my high lows, huh? This is my 19th Super Bowl, and we've done this kind of thing. And the irony is that I would say I started doing it with CCU students where we started using them as crews about 6 years ago. So that part has been a new experience for me over the past few years. Literally, when we were doing it, there were two of us would cover all the stuff that you guys cover. Just two of us. And we would run and gun the whole time and somehow get it all. And then we actually would never sleep because when we got home, we had to edit because we had packages due the next day. It was nuts. But I would say from this time, I think it's been tough since COVID. There's been a little bit of comeback trail, if you will. This one feels the most like the pre-COVID ones where there's more people, everybody feels good, things are going on, a lot of good conversations, a lot of busyness happening. Usually today is like the last day. People are starting to wrap up. Most of the athletes roll in. Yesterday, I think it was busier than today, which is strange because usually today is the busiest day. There is a set schedule throughout the week, and we know that kind of like the back of our hand, where we usually come in on Sunday. If we've got the energy, we might go to the airport to get the teams coming in. They do a press conference that night also that you can go to. Sometimes those are like, it's a little bit like the hotel one where there's that opening press conference. Usually the coach, quarterback, one of the other star players will talk, and then you get to hang out with them at around tables and stuff. Usually opening night is that Monday night. Used to be Tuesdays, so they threw a monkey wrench in for us for the media press conference. We think in that, we're trying to schedule our whole lives around this thing. So that's the interesting part. But I would say from a low standpoint, it was interesting. When we were at opening night, you guys all went out and I sent you out. And the Eagles came out first. And I had the camera case, which good thing it's a Pelican case. And I had everything up and it was so crowded. If I tried, I could not have made it out of my little 3-foot area. No, for the whole Eagles thing. And that was a surprise. So I actually just a lot of B-roll that we use in our openings and things like that. It's cool stuff. But I mean, all I did is I didn't talk to anybody. You guys talk to everybody. I usually am doing interviews too. Nope, didn't happen. You know what I mean? So that was interesting. Is that a high or low? I don't know. I mean, it was different. And I was thankful because I go back to the days of where it's just me and my buddy. Dude, if I wasn't out there when we came back that night and had no interviews, we're in trouble. Like that opening night is where we get the most, I would say, the best looking and feeling, because it's this crowd thing. You know, sometimes you go to the hotel things, it's like in a ballroom, or one year it was in a garage. It was in a parking garage, literally concrete floors, bouncy, echoey, horrible audio, no lighting whatsoever. It was horrible. I'm like, what do you guys think? Like, sometimes I want to get around the NFL, go, could I talk to the people who, like the planning people? Like, seriously? I mean, we talked about, who was that? Oh, Jason Romano. And we'll roll that package in between in a little bit. But Jason and I were talking about the Super 48 in New York City, the hotels, if you will. The Seahawks were in a hotel. The Broncos, and if you remember, that was when the Broncos just got shellacked, man. It was 48 to, I don't know, 8 or 3. Right? It was like the Broncos didn't even show up. And I think a lot of the reason is the Broncos, for their hotel interviews, were on a boat on the Hudson River. And I can't tell, and it was docked, but the whole time, everybody was getting sick. I mean, media, player, like, and we had to do that for 3 days in a row for an hour. Like, show up early. I mean, you guys have been through it. Well, shoot, how would you like to play a football game after you've been like seasick for the whole week, right? Kind of crazy. Let's see. So actually, my biggest high is watching you guys do your thing, and like throughout the week, I get to see you guys starting to get like Danny and Izzy and I talked on the way over. There's no way to explain this experience. It doesn't matter how much we try. You know, the 3 weeks before we come, we're trying to go, hey, we should do this. We practice this. It'll be just like, until you get here, you don't know what it's like. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I'd ask you that question of what was your pre-coming here thoughts and what are your thoughts now?
Yeah, coming in, I didn't have a lot to go off of other than previous students' words. So I was expecting it to be, I'd say my perceptions of opening night were pretty accurate, like very crowded, very hectic, lots of people everywhere, like having to speak loud and all this stuff. So that was pretty on point. I really didn't know what to expect with Radio Row, to be honest. I'd like Googled what it was and that wasn't very helpful. But like being here, yeah, it's just one of those things you have to experience. So many different organizations and people walking around, celebrities, previous NFL players. Yeah, it's once in a lifetime experience.
Yeah, crazy.
Well, you can see the photos, you can see videos of what's happening, but it changes every year. The location changes every year. The surrounding circumstances change every year. So, for example, security has been really high in New Orleans.
Right.
And that adds a whole factor into how people get into the venue, what's brought in, and just the time that it takes to do anything. So, I mean, for hotel interviews, getting through security, long lines. So there, you see the whole event, you see everything that's happening with the media, but there's also a lot going on outside. And
Security is a big one.
It is security is big. So just seeing that, it adds on to just showing how big the event is and what all goes into it. You can tell that all of these areas where players are getting interviewed, where all of these shows are happening, took so much time and effort to get started, and just the sheer amount of money that was spent on the equipment, the rights for tables, and then actually for who knows to get player appearances. Everything here, it's just a big production. And getting to see that, it's a whole different experience that you just don't know until you actually see it.
Yeah, cool. Well, we're one of very few number of groups that are doing, I would say, the questions about people's faith or, talking about Jesus. One of the other ones is Sports Spectrum, Jason Romano. I actually had a chance to sit down and talk with Jason Romano in this environment. So we're going to roll that. And we'll be back in a little bit after that's back with some more students. So thanks for joining me, guys.
Thank you.
And let's roll that Jason Romano package, and we'll see you in a little bit. Hello, everyone. Jess Steinberg here, FSPN. We're doing some Athletes in Action, total athlete program, mind, body, soul. Love being here with this guy, Jason Romano from Sports Spectrum. And you've been having some great conversations this week already. I mean, it's only Wednesday, but we know Monday and Tuesday you got some really cool stuff to talk about that. And then we'll dig into some of the the Jason mindset of what's going on here.
Yeah, this is my 17th Super Bowl, Jess, between ESPN, where I worked prior, and now with Sports Spectrum. And every year, it's an honor and a blessing to be here. We get to do what you get to do as well. We get to take a microphone and put it in the faces of these athletes playing in the biggest game with the Chiefs and the Eagles and ask them about the most important thing in their life, their faith in Jesus. And we've had a lot of success this week. We got to talk to both quarterbacks, Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes, whose faith is very strong for both of them. I'm really impressed, just a little side note, on the maturity, the spiritual maturity of Patrick Mahomes has been maybe the most surprising thing. I don't know why I would say surprising, but I think for me the most surprising thing I've seen this week is how open and bold he has been.
I think he must be going through, because he hasn't been this strong in the past, and you can see that kind of growth is what you're talking about.
Yeah, you and I both have been at these Super Bowls the last 5 of the last 6, right, with the Chiefs. And this year, more than any, I've seen a man who's very bold, open, and wants to share the gospel and say the name Jesus and not just talk about God or, the big man upstairs. And so I'm very impressed with Mahomes. And we've talked to a lot of other guys too. It's been a really, really good week.
Do you think that's maybe the dad thing?
Yeah, I think sometimes that happens. It happened with me. When I became a dad, suddenly I'm seeing my daughter and I'm looking at God the Father much different in the way that my daughter maybe looked at me, as this dad who is there to take care of her no matter what. And I saw God in a different light, and I think that might have a lot to do with it, yeah.
No, that's awesome. Now, I know you have a special gift, we'll call it, of we're at Super Bowl 59 here in NOLA, and I believe you could take us back to all the Super Bowls and tell us who won, right?
I can. We'll be here for a couple minutes if you want me to. We have already done the video. It's on social media. I did it in one take, no notes, and said every winner Super Bowl 1 to Super Bowl 58. But you can quiz me if you want to do it that way.
Can I do period? Can I just call them out and you'll get
Super Bowl out and I'll tell you who won.
Oh my goodness, 12.
Super Bowl 12, Dallas Cowboys 27-10 over the Denver Broncos.
Dude, I just want to look inside.
I need to do this with scripture because I'm not as good at this with scripture. But this stuff goes back to being 10 years old, having the Pro Football Encyclopedia and just studying this thing way before I was ever a Christian and just loving the NFL and loving the Super Bowl.
Dude, that's its own gift. And I think just like the athletes that we get to interview, this is your platform.
I appreciate
No, and that's what I appreciate the most about you is that you have a platform and it's talking to these guys and knowing their game is why you said to me before, your dream was ESPN. You landed ESPN, you're doing all this stuff. Well, here you are doing this. Yeah, we got that Bible thing. Maybe we're not great at memorization, but we still keep it with us all the time, and that's what we talk about.
Yeah, I'm getting better at the Bible thing. I certainly know a lot more now than I did when I was first becoming a Christian 20 plus years ago. But I get to sit at the Super Bowl with my friend Jess and look around and see all these Super Bowl banners and see all these NFL players walking by. This is what I would have said you were nuts about. I just would have said you're crazy if you would tell me that I'd be able to do this.
This is your dream.
This is a dream right here. It's really crazy.
Yeah. We do get to live out our dreams. It's crazy.
Throw me one more Super Bowl. Go ahead.
Oh, another Super Bowl. 33.
Super Bowl 33.
I know this.
The Denver Broncos. They beat the Atlanta Falcons. I think it was 34-19. And the game was played in, where was that game played? I don't remember where it was played, but John Elway, I think, won the MVP that year.
50.
Super Bowl 50 was Denver, and it was 24-10 over Carolina. That was the 15-1 season with the Panthers and Cam Newton. That was played in Santa Clara.
That was Peyton Manning.
Peyton Manning's last ever game, 24-10. They got the victory.
I have that Super Bowl ring.
Do you? How? What's that story?
I have the Eagles one too.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I need to hear that.
That's its own story. That's a whole. We'll do a whole nother package.
That's right, for another time. But that Eagles victory, that was Super Bowl. That was a weird one, 41-33, kind of a strange game. Tom Brady had over 500 yards passing, and still they lost, and the Eagles got their first Super Bowl.
Isn't that crazy? Go Eagles! Sorry, I'm from Philly, so 48.
Super Bowl 48. So this was a good one. This was in New York City.
They got crushed.
Well, here's why. Denver lost, right? It was Seattle. I think it was 43-9. Might have been the score. 43-8. And it was a weird game because it was the first ever game played outdoors in a cold weather city in New York City. And we were there covering that game for ESPN. And so I was walking around New York City to get to our sets, and it was cold. It was really cold. I'm like, how are they going to play a Super Bowl outdoors? But if they actually got, here's why the NFL got so.
They got like those blue cover sheet things.
No, but they got so lucky with the weather because it was 43-8. It was like 38 degrees, I think, at kickoff, which isn't terribly cold. But literally the game ends at, 10 o'clock. 2 hours later, it snows like 7 inches in New York City. So the NFL missed it by 2 hours. It could have been the first ever snow Super Bowl.
Wow, that would have been great. You know, it's funny. I remember that game. I actually remember this experience. Us interviewing the players, the hotel. They weren't hotel interviews. If you remember, the Broncos were on a boat on the Hudson River, and I think that's part of the loss thing. A lot of media and players were sick, just sitting on this boat. I think that had, and 3 days of it. Now, the other thing, I don't know if you remember this, Pete Carroll, Russell Wilson, Clint Gresham, long snapper, strong believers.
Very faith-filled. Yeah, I covered the next Super Bowl as well, which was Seattle and the Patriots, and a lot of it's the same team, obviously.
Russell Okung.
Yeah, a lot of guys.
When we interviewed the Seahawks, I'm getting chills. You could feel this calm, spiritual Jesus thing happening, and literally the first time we interviewed them, I'm like, Denver doesn't stand a chance. It was amazing, and that's the way the game played out.
Yeah, it was amazing. That team, the Legion of Boom, obviously was incredible, and I still to this day don't know why the next year they didn't hand the ball off to Marshawn Lynch, because they would have been back-to-back, and they probably would have had a little bit of a dynasty thing. And you talk to any Seahawks player, do not ask them about that play, because they really still to this day know they would have been champions. Yeah,
that's crazy.
What's up, guys? Jason Romano here with Matt Forte. Super Bowl 59 opening night in New Orleans here for Sports Spectrum, presented by our friends at Unitas.
I'm back home. I'm in a Superdome. You know, I played at Tulane and played many games here.
And we get to put a microphone in the face of many of these athletes and coaches playing in the big game on Sunday.
We're going to ask them the most important thing about their lives, but then also in the midst of all this hoopla, bring it back to focus on Jesus. We're here at Philadelphia Eagles media availability, a lot less chaos than last night. And what are we doing here, Jason?
So my hope, my prayer, is that Matt Forte here gets to talk to Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts. So let's try to see if we can do that. Let's go.
Let's go.
That's what it's all about, the name of Jesus. We're Sports Spectrum, Matt Forte, Jason Romano here on opening night. Stay tuned. We got tons of content coming your way.
Last thoughts for anything that's going on.
Yeah, I mean, this has been a great week for Sports Spectrum. You can check out all of our YouTube channel and our social medias at Sports Spectrum. Matt Forte is with us, a two-time Pro Bowl running back on Sports Spectrum with myself. And we're just here to point people to Jesus. That's really it. And it happens to be that we're at the biggest event of the year at the Super Bowl, but really our goal is to share the name of Jesus. We're using the Super Bowl as a platform to do that, and I hope people are encouraged by what they see.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining us. Good friend Jason Romano, and again, like he said, we're here to talk about Jesus, and we get to do that, and we're so excited to do it. So thanks for joining us, and check out all his stuff at Sports Spectrum. Check out our stuff, FSPN and Athletes in Action. Have a great day. Here we are. We're back from that interview with Jason Romano. It's always fun to hang out with Jason. I mean, that whole like Super Bowl, he knows every Super Bowl, every team, every score, every location. That's nuts. I wish I could have done the whole interview. Well, here I have the next behind the scene people. They're going to introduce themselves and they'll give us a little high-low Buffalo, right?
Hi, I'm Izzy. I've been having so much fun. I think my high so far was definitely opening night. It was really cool just to kind of like get thrown into the deep end, and I didn't really know what I was doing, but I did it, and it turned out really fun. And me and Danny were just running around, like talking to literally every single person who passed us. So it was really fun. My low has probably just been not getting a lot of sleep.
Talking about
But I mean, it's only a week of like 5 hours of sleep a night, so it's fine, and I'll get over it. This isn't really a Buffalo, but another thing I thought was really cool is yesterday when we interviewed Carissa from Fox, and she was super cool and like had a lot of cool things to say about being like a woman in this industry, because there's not really a lot of those here normally.
Go ahead.
My turn. I'm Danny, and honestly, I feel like the whole week has been a high. It's hard to choose, but if I had to choose, my high would be the very first interview I did on opening night. It wasn't actually a player, but I found a coach for the Eagles, and I was like, oh, I'll just go up and interview him. And he just like started talking about him. I didn't even have to ask him. And it was like a 5-minute interview, and it was just really cool to get his perspective, like being a coach. And it was the first one, and so it kind of eased my way into the evening, and I wasn't as like nervous to do other interviews. So that was pretty good. And then a low would be probably trying to get interviews at the booths, because I'm pretty short and a lot of people are very aggressive and it's stressful trying to like yell things at the players when everyone else is yelling. So that's really stressful. And then Buffalo, I tried to interview a mascot, but I didn't know they couldn't talk. So I was like, what advice would you give yourself, like your younger self? And they had like a person with the mascot that was like, what are you trying to ask him? And then the mascot just replied with like rubbing his stomach. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then the like interpreter was like, oh, just like fuel yourself. And I was like, oh, okay, that's pretty good. But it's really funny.
Yeah. That's really funny. I felt that way yesterday when we were at the Fox media press conference with the guy, with the Robotron, whatever the Transformer guy. When his eyes are blinking, I'm like, dude, yeah, well, okay, whatever. I mean, it looks so good on television there. I'm like, you don't look so good here, man. So, well, let's see. What else? How about like gear? Like, and this is a team, right? So all the folks you've seen, we've worked in teams, so it's pretty common for us to have 2 people on a team, and we swap things out, right? Somebody's using camera, somebody's doing the interviews with the mic, and we have to get permission to use the wireless mics here, get everything checked out. We're assigned frequencies. There's a lot of technical things that happen around what we're doing. How'd you deal with all the technical stuff? And I mean, even like transferring cards and footage and all that.
Yeah, I was literally just telling Danny today, I feel like half of this trip has just been us like looking at each other and being like, where is the thing? And then one of us being like, I don't know. And then we're like, oh wait, here it is. So it's definitely a lot to remember, and it's definitely like a lot of brain exercise to just like make sure we have everything like organized and ready to go like at any moment. So yeah, it's definitely been a lot, but super fun. And like, I feel it's like so much more exciting when you're just like boom, 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 boom. And you like come up with the camera and the tripod and everything together and the audio like in like 30 seconds. And we're like, okay, yeah, let's go.
Yeah, and something I didn't anticipate was the process of transferring like videos at the end of the day. I don't know, in my brain it was just like, oh, I'll just get all my footage, but it takes like at least 30 minutes, and I have my personal drive. So we kind of have a system of where I'll transfer onto my drive first, and then I'll give it to her and she'll transfer onto the other drive. But it's like at least an hour every night. And so we're like, oh, what do we do now? Like, I guess we'll just relax or something. But that was something I didn't anticipate. And then batteries too have been hard to keep track of because they all look the same and there's like 3 different cameras. And so that's been crazy to keep track of. But yeah, it's really fun to get in a groove and just like set things up and use the gear.
So you're feeling good about gear and all that stuff. I would agree. It'd be nice if they had like colored batteries. We're the red team, we're the green. You know what I mean? Yeah. Even like camera pad, like make a camera, like everything needs to match because you are just grabbing and going. It's why we call it run and gun. You are literally running with your stuff and gunning it as you're clicking stuff as you're going. And yeah, it's really crazy. Although I will say you guys are you don't even know. That's the interesting thing. You're using DSLRs and we call those cute little cameras. Even the Panasonics that we have, they're not very big. I mean, when you go back, have you guys seen the camera in my office? I mean, it's huge. The lens is huge. The lens is bigger than 2 of your cameras put together, right? And then you got the whole camera. And then there was like this, they call it a brick. That was the battery. And it was about this big. And it went on, and the thing weighs like 15 pounds. And so you click this thing on and you throw this thing on your shoulder, and be like, glunk. And you guys are running around like, ooh, ah, ooh, ah. And then, of course, everybody's whipping out their phone. Ooh, oh, my arm hurts. I'm like, oh, give me a break. Seriously, we're going to have that conversation. So anyway, let's see. What else? What else has been interesting as part of this adventure? Food, travel, I don't know.
Yeah, I think something that I really wasn't expecting was the media party. That was like a crazy, like, it it just was like I was expecting like a room and like a couple of reporters and we're like, you know, some like water or whatever, I don't know, but it was like probably like 2 acres of like just like craziness.
It's a chance for the host city to show off. That's really what happens. And so we're in New Orleans, Mardi Gras, like all this. I mean, it was like a freak show in that place, right? I mean, no, all those it was crazy.
Yeah, it was. And they had like 3 live bands going on at the same time. Like whatever room you walked into, there's just like a band playing. So that was pretty cool. And we didn't have to like bring cameras or anything. So it was nice to just kind of enjoy. And yeah, we got to taste a lot of different foods. So yeah, that was definitely not what I expected from that party, but it was cool.
Yeah. And then I would speak about Radio Row because that was just something I wasn't expecting either. In my mind, it was just like small little groups just doing their own thing. But we walked in and it's like, oh, ESPN is here, CBS is here, like all these like big companies. And, you know, you just walk around and be like, oh, there's like the greatest or the most paid quarterback or whoever. Yeah. I don't remember who he was, but it was like someone that was like a big name. And there's all these people that I don't really recognize, but it's just like, oh, there's a lot of huge people here. And so that's been fun to just hang out here like every day. And there's a workroom for the media people upstairs, which is really fun. They have snacks and stuff like that. But
lots of water, lots of Gatorade.
Lots of water, lots of Gatorade. They're out of Gatorade now because we probably drank it all. But
I think I have the last one.
Yeah, I actually do think you have the last one. But yeah, Radio Row's been fun. And we filmed our intros here and just followed each other around on the cameras. And they have unlimited wings. So every time we walk in, it's like, oh, it smells like wings again.
Never eaten so many wings in my life.
Yeah.
No, that is actually cool. Like usually there's places around kind of doing little handout things, and sometimes it's good to this like nonstop wing thing has kind of been cool. I mean, you see people. So there's a bounty It's hard to explain. You guys saw me walk around the other days. We're trying to get my phone up and cranking right now so we can just kind of look around and point while we're doing this interview, and we'll double screen it. But literally Bounty paper towel people are here and they're cooking nonstop chicken wings, and they're handing them out in these little green cases. And it's fun. Well, obviously the commercials for you got these greasy wings and we can't get grease on our gear and lenses. And so you're eating these greasy wings. You need the paper towels, right? So there's the point. I'm trying to think of who else is here that has, I mean, there's a lot of folks on the outside of Radio Row that are more like commercials, like Toyota, and they got the truck over there. And I don't know if they're going to give it away, but I'd like it.
Yeah,
I mean,
signing it.
yeah, well, just like I'll trade you. You take our signed football, man. We'll take your signed car. It's like the new Land Rover, man. It's really cool looking. But yeah, as you walk around, there's all kinds of different things. I mean, FanDuel, the gambling people, CBS is over there, Sirius Radio, the Lambeau Field has a little thing. So there's a lot of outside folks. It's kind of like being at Circus, you know, where they have all these fun things out there. And then we all have these tables and all the little things that we're doing our things from. So let's see. So what else is on your mind about this whole adventure? What was your before thought and now now that you've been here thought?
I feel like I would say I wasn't really expecting the players to want to talk about their faith as much as they did. And a lot of times, like, I wasn't expecting to just like straight up ask them about Jesus or like, you know, ask them what that looks like for them. But like a lot of them seem really like ready to talk about it. And like, it was pretty encouraging to see them like just want to like they have a story to tell, and that's been really cool to see.
Yeah, we were talking earlier about how it's hard to like explain what this is like or be prepared for it, and how like our student leaders and Jess would tell us like what to expect, and we show up and I'm like, oh, this is kind of what I expected, but like also it's like you can't even explain it. Yeah, exactly. But something that was really cool was just the connections that we've made with like other networks as well. Izzy and I have met a couple girls. One girl worked for another networking program, but she saw our like faith thing and was like, are you guys faith-based? Like, this is amazing. We're faith-based. And we just had this whole conversation, and they came over and we like had a prayer, which is really cool. And then, we met this other girl yesterday and we got her contact info. And so it's really cool to like make connections with people that aren't just the coaches or the athletes, even though that's really fun too. And like Izzy said, sometimes people ask like the craziest questions to the athletes and coaches.
Yeah, right.
Like a crazy one. Yeah, who would you slime? Yeah. But what were you saying?
No, it's okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the slime. But then you like throw out a question that's like, oh, what do you think about family? Like, how's your mind, body, and soul? And then they're kind of like, oh, wait, that's like a really good question that we have a guest.
The Bundesliga is here. Nice. Whoa. It's like it's the blue Philly Fanatic. I think the Philly Fanatic's a little bit better than you. Yeah, see? Okay, come on. Here, wait. Let's get you on the air. Can you put my phone on the air?
It's on.
Oh, there we go. Okay, now do your thing, Blue Man. Yeah, good looking. So what is that? Your plate for dinner? Huh? You guys may not know what the Philly Fanatic is, but it's the green guy like that from Philly, and he's really fun. He's actually the most popular mascot there is, but it does the same thing where he's got like the little burp that comes out of his mouth like a tongue, and it's the Bundesliga. You're in the wrong football league, man.
Oh my god.
Anyway, the blue guy's giving us. Well, oh no! Look, it's the Colts guy. So the Colts mascot stole the Bundesliga trophy from the soccer guys that are here from Germany. Oh, yeah, that's kind of crazy. Okay, sorry about that. Well, we can do this again later, where we do some more stuff. Where were we? What were we talking about?
I don't even know. That's
Well,
so bad.
that's really funny. What's the other package? Oh, I have the flight, the pilot's package up, don't I? Let's do that. Anything else you guys want to share before we let you go? Go ahead. Anything. Hi, Mom.
I don't. Yeah, hi, Mom.
Or maybe Dad. Dad, look where I am and you're not.
Yeah, I do feel like super lucky and blessed to just be able to come here and hang out. And I feel like I've learned so much and literally.
You've been on my wait list for like 3 years.
Yeah, I have. But I've learned so much. Like I feel like I could just go out and like do anything now. So super excited about that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's been awesome to like work with a new group of people. Well, kind of new, but and like just learn from you and get all of your knowledge. Even if we don't really know where we're going quite yet, it's been really awesome, and the experience is just crazy. So yeah, we're grateful.
Cool, awesome. Well, thanks for being here. It's been fun having you. Okay, well, so every year they do a flyover of some type. Last year we interviewed the Thunderbirds, and that was fun. This year the Marines are actually doing their Osprey and F-35s, man, that are doing the flyover, and we got a chance to meet with them yesterday and talk to those pilots and stuff. So let's roll that package, and we'll come back in with a couple more students to hang out and have a conversation. Hey guys, Jess Stainbrook, FSPN, Athletes in Action, Total Athlete, and boy, we got a special crew here. Every year there's a flyover. These are the guys that are going to do it. And when I say guys, I mean guys and girls. I'm from Philly. That's a dual thing. So introduce yourself and just what you're doing, and we'll have a little conversation around what's going to happen to make this go, okay?
Hi, I'm Major Jenna Montgomery. I'm a Osprey pilot with VMM 764 out of MCAS Miramar.
Awesome, thank you.
Major Nathan Sampson, same.
Major Ivan Morin from VMM 64. I'm from Houston, Texas.
Major Neil Langston, VMM 764, and I'm from Bend, Oregon.
Major Lucas Caravacuris, 764. I'm from Fort Lauderdale.
Awesome. When you guys do the flyover, is there a delta and an outside? What's the formation look like? Who can help me with that?
So there's going to be 6 planes in total. We're going to be in what's called echelon left. So all the planes are going to be slid out to the left. And there's going to be 2 F-35 fighter jets in the lead, and then 4 MV-22 Ospreys, as it would be 3, 4, 5, and 6.
Gotcha. And so the guys in the 35, how do they go slower? Is there like a go slower?
They can hover.
Oh, I didn't know. Those are like the Volt VTOLs?
Oh, yeah. Right, right. Yeah.
Well, the Ospreys are the ones also with
we can hover too, yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so somebody talk me through timing. Somebody's doing the clock and like countdown. The Star Spangled Banner just finished, and you guys are supposed to whoosh right then. How's that happen?
Somebody on the roof with the radio, they're telling us speed up, slow down, here's the rough time you guys can aim for, and then be athletes and make it happen.
Well, and that's within usually like a 3-second window, right?
Yeah. Sure is, yeah.
That's awesome. Why are you doing this? I'm going to ask each one of you. It means something, and we appreciate your service and what you're doing. But why this? How'd you get involved? Why are we here?
Well, this year the Marine Corps is celebrating its 250th birthday, so they've been invited to do the Super Bowl flyover, and we're here representing them.
That's awesome. And I mean pilot in general.
This is a unique opportunity for me. This is the first time I've been able to do something like this. I'm really happy to be here.
Yeah, I wanted to be a pilot since I was a kid. I had that desire to serve, and then the V-22 is just the coolest thing out there. Nothing else like it.
That's awesome.
The day I decided to become a pilot was watching a flyover. Flying over the first game that was in, it was called Enron Field at the time. Now Minute Maid, now Daikin Park, but it's where the Astros play. I'm a huge Astros fan, so it's really cool for me. That's why I became a pilot, because I saw the flyover, and now I'm able to do one myself, so it's pretty cool.
You're going to live and die with this Houston thing, aren't you?
Oh, yeah.
Same thing, pretty much. Fort Lauderdale Air and Sea Show. They used to do it all the time, all the jets, and it's what I always wanted to do. And I'm just blessed to be here.
I was lucky to grow up, I think, in the greatest country in the world, and I wanted to serve my country, and I wanted to challenge myself, and I think the toughest branch in the world, too.
You're right. Yeah. And you do work closely with the Navy, so I'll take that.
But yeah.
All right, well, here they are. The team that's going to be doing the flyover for the Super Bowl on Sunday. So excited to have you guys here. Thanks for what you do for us, and just love who you are and serving our country. Coming back live for our live stream. So excited to be here. Those were the pilots from the Marines that will be doing the flyover. That's kind of fun. Well, this is kind of cool. I have Steve and Amanda with me, and they'll introduce themselves. But these are this year's student leaders as we do stuff. So every year when we bring a crew from CCU out of our digital media program, there's been a team that got a chance to practice the year before. Right, so they were juniors when they first came, and then they're seniors this year, and they've had a chance. So this is actually the second Super Bowl that you get a chance to play with this stuff. So these guys, a little bit more knowledge, a little bit more experience, and they've actually been training the rest of the team to get us here. So give me some high-lows, buffaloes, and then we'll go into what it's like to be the leaders for these guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Like just said, my name's Stephen Bosworth, and second year around is definitely a lot of like less nerves, at least for me personally. I was just able to sort of kind of take a step back and just survey it all from the perspective of, I think, just a second time goer. I was able to, I think my highlight was definitely the Fox interviews. I think last year's CBS interviews, I was just a little bit gun shy, gun shy on how to answer the questions and how to ask questions. Phil's, I think so. Something around those lines. So I think this year with the Fox Sports interviews, I was just able to kind of go around. I had some questions in mind that I was able just to get off, and I was able to really, I think, take a step back, I think, and survey it more from the perspective of someone who's a little bit less jittery. I think.
I think the nerve thing is a big deal. I mean, it's funny. We come every year, and you guys have heard me say I'm an introvert. I don't enjoy going out and talking to complete strangers, whether they're the best strangers in football. You know what I mean? So there is this almost get yourself psyched up, but because you've been here before, it's easier to know, hey, once I get there, okay, I'll do this thing, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I totally agree with that. I think, let's see, low. I don't know. It's sleep. I think just sleep. Oh, yes. The pool.
Here comes that BO.
Oh, my goodness. I'm going to crash out. Well, I don't know. The pool was like just the hot tub. We were supposed to have a hot tub, but the hot tub wasn't working. So we've had a cold pool. I jumped in it last night, actually, because
it's not cold like, oh, isn't that chilly? It's like polar bears would go like, dude, I'm not going in there.
No, it's a little bit on the chilly side. I think it's warming up just because it's like actually warm here in NOLA, but 62. 62. I mean, for Coloradans, like that's pretty warm. But that was probably my low, was that, and then my buffalo was whatever that just was with the mascot. I don't know. I don't know what happened there. That was probably the buffalo for today. but yeah, I think that's kind of what I've been thinking and stuff like that. So
Okay, Amanda.
Okay, I'm Amanda. A high this week. I don't know. It's just kind of fun to come a second time and not have to do interviews and just do behind the scenes work and edit and push content. Because last year we didn't really know what content we were pushing. Alex and Elizabeth were awesome and they handled a lot of that. So this year we're Alex and Elizabeth. So now we are handling that.
I think they might be on now. I don't know.
Oh, I don't know. No, Alex. I don't know if they are. Hi.
Hello.
But it's just been awesome. I mean, it's fun coming again with Steven because I feel like last year we were both just super nervous. And this year, like he said, we're just chilling, straight chilling. Yeah.
That's cool. So any lows?
Lows? I'm really sad about the hot tub.
I think we all are.
Yeah.
That's a tough one. It's funny because when we get, like I look at the house where we stay and I'm always like, oh, this should be cool. And it doesn't work. You're like, wow, dude, wait a second, Like, so, well, yeah, that's a bummer. Well, talk through the leadership side. So again, having the experience stuff, obviously the nervousness isn't as much. I think you guys have both done a great job as like really stepping up from the producing standpoint of managing over and see. I mean, I would actually call Amanda go far enough to say almost team mom, right? She's make sure we're fed. We stop by Walmart on the way home. Like we need food, right? So yeah, doing a really good job with that, but really do appreciate it because you're watching out for the people's health along with making stuff happen at that level of we need content and we need it out. And it's like these guys said, they didn't realize how much time you spend wrangling cards and hard drives and assets from a media standpoint. Mm-hmm. So yeah, so talk through the team leadership side of things.
Do you want me to go first?
Oh, okay. I think it's very interesting this year because Steve and I have very different styles, personalities, and I don't know if anyone knows us, they know we're very different in those aspects, but we work. I mean, we yell at each other a lot, but then we just get back to it. It's a lot. I don't know.
I mean, I think the thing is like, sometimes, personally, I'm more of like a, trial by fire kind of person. You throw somebody in and you get the experience and, it's kind of, it's much more of a trial by fire and experience sort of learning. Experiential learning is, I'm huge on that just because that's the way I learn. And, but, I understand not everybody learns that way. And I think Amanda does a really good, you do a fantastic job at organizing everything and keeping stuff in place. And I think you've been a lifesaver this trip on just helping everybody stay organized. Amanda just makes us sandwiches every morning, and it's amazing. It's the little things that you take for granted, I think, in a lot of times with these trips and whatnot. So I think you've done a great job in organizing and just keeping everything in check, and keeping everything sort of going behind the scenes, even if people don't even see it. So yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks. But I don't know.
Just an extra $1.
Yeah. No, but working with Steven has been just I don't know. Because the whole Super Bowl team last year, they're gone. They graduated, so.
Yeah.
It's nostalgic. I don't know.
I mean, it's one of those things where it's you're really you're trying to step in the footsteps of the leadership before you, Mm-hmm. And I know Alex and Elizabeth did, big shoes to fill for real. And I think it was just taking what they taught us and then kind of trying to take our own spin on it and just learn how to figure out how to lead in a way that's authentic to you personally, to us personally, but also in a way that helps out the team. And it's a team effort, really, at the end of the day. No one person can do everything. And I think that's really what it's all about, is just cooperation and spreading the name of Jesus in a way that on the main stage with these players that have a big influence.
And it's also just been really fun to see how, I don't know, how excited people are to talk about Jesus in general.
Right. Really different.
It's different.
This year.
It's different. And I think I mean, this is a little off topic, but Steven is such a great hype person, a lot of energy. A lot of energy and things, and it's just fun to watch because last year he was really behind the scenes as well, doing like the live stream and stuff like that, but it's fun seeing him get to do those interactions and interviews this year, you know, and then seeing how the different players talk about their faith and talk about Jesus and family and things like that. So it's been fun.
Well, there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that you don't see. I mean, we talked about Amanda and like making sandwiches, make sure people are fed. Steven is really crushing it on the tech side of kind of keeping our live streaming. And here's the thing, we always get here with so much gear and we have no idea. I think we think about what we might want it to look like, but you have no idea. I mean, even when we show up, 2 tables, the note said we'd only have 1 table and it would be a 6-foot table, not an 8-foot table. You know what I mean? And here we are with 2 tables here. And the backdrop is different. I mean, even everything has really worked out this year is very different. It took us a little while to figure out the live stream stuff. It always does. The first hour is like, oh, geez, is this even going to work, So it's very funny. So good job, Steven, keeping all that stuff running and going together. And now we have our backup team over there. Isabella and Aiden are like doing it. I don't know. Maybe, do they know how to bring up my camera? Probably not, huh?
I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's pretty. No, look at it. No, not, yeah, that's one step over the edge, man. Don't do that. Well, and we are going to be doing how have you guys enjoyed like the Super Bowl experience and the things that are more fan based of just being able to take these guys and watch them and how they're doing?
I don't know. The experience last year was super fun. And it was fun because we all got to go together, except for you, I'm sorry. But we were all there together and we were just hanging out and playing games. And it was really fun last year because Alex was like so high energy and he took it all out on the experience and like interacting with fans. And so I think this year the team is just a little more low key, and that works. And that's super fun still. But it was like the experience this year we haven't gone for too long, but I went with Jason yesterday and those fan interactions were great. We met the Old Spice guy and a pickle and all of that stuff. So it's fun watching everyone interact.
I actually, one of the things I've found really interesting is I know you guys because I actually work close. I mean, you're kind of my team back at school too. Like we do a lot of stuff together and we did last year. We didn't know anything about all these. I mean, there's an indicator of why everybody on the team has been invited. Like there was a level of something that said you should be, of all of the, however many 35 students that apply, we're only taking 8, and who and why. And there is this kind of scratch our head on, who adds what and what. And as we get here, it's interesting to see how those things play out and how the teams form and how there becomes this different level of camaraderie. And I mean, I don't mean to make it like this, but everybody that's here is now in our Super Bowl club. Like there's this thing that you have that nobody else has that at CCU that you kind of walk around with this a badge of honor of going, well, yeah, that was my second Super Bowl, and like, how do you explain that?
I mean, yeah, I think it's just like on the Super Bowl side of things, it's just so cool to see the team and how they like each individual person becomes their and it fills into the role, and it's like each individual person, like Isabella, Aiden, Danny, Izzy, Jason, and Tyler, like each person is just like they have their thing. And I think over the week, it's just really cool to see how each person develops their specific skill set and what they really enjoy and what they're passionate about and what they're good at, And I think for me, that's been the coolest part is to see all that.
I will say I won't say it's a shocker, but when we talked about this, because when we got this team together, we all kind of scratched our head like, nobody's really the upfront person. Like who's gonna sit on this side? Well, then we handed it to these two guys, and it was like, is the dog show, man. Like, yo, dog, here we go. You know, football, Green Bay Packers. Where's my cheesehead? Yeah. So anyway, we're on the 3-yard line, and the thing snowed, and then a nickel came out, and I'm like, what the hell? Yeah. And that other guy had the beeper keeper sweeper. Did you see that? Man, I never saw one of those before in my life. I'm just like, whoa, go get him, man. So that has actually been a lot of fun to see a whole other level of I'm out, right? And here's the funny thing. I've never enjoyed doing this. I just know how to do it. No, right? And here we are. I'm always like, oh, great. I got to be on this kind of, well, here we are. But it works because I actually know the people. I mean, Lee Steinberg interview, there was this whole backstory that I knew because I've been around him for 15 years. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's pretty interesting.
No, yeah, I think, I think as many times as you've been to the Super Bowl, like, yeah, I mean, you just have so many stories, I think, and so many groups that you've taken, and like you've probably seen so many people go through the.
It's like, well, yeah, I have to go to the Super Bowl.
Well, yeah, I mean, I was curious to get like your take on like going this many times. Is the wow factor ever like hit you, or does it ever go away? Does like what's your feeling after 19 years?
Are you bored right now?
I'm so tired of talking to you guys. No, that's actually a really good question. People don't seem to understand. I get so many phone calls. I mean, let alone, you've seen my emails.
Yeah.
So you open my email and the NFL, it's just like somebody threw up in my email bin of NFL everything. And I have to wrangle it all about all the stuff we do. There's an executive producer side that really I don't share too much of that because it's overwhelming. But we kind of do it in our sleep and just go, okay, make it happen. There is a part of me that dreads this week every year because people don't realize. Like I said, my phone rings off the hook of people calling to go, can I just carry your bag? Like they're joking, but they're not joking.
Yeah.
Like everybody I know calls me to go, how do I get to go with you? And my comment is, you don't. But dude, my mom doesn't even come with me. Like, no, but you guys get to come.
Yeah.
No. Do you see what I'm saying? Is there's this level that they don't understand the commitment, the training, the everything that we do to prepare to bring ourselves here. And that's just technical and creative skills. Then take it up another notch and go, oh, by the way, we're going to talk about our faith in Jesus all week. I'm out. Right? No, that's actually the coolest part. Like when I go to the high of this week, I've actually been super enjoying the fact that people have come through, and when we're having the faith-based conversations, I can see it. I can feel. I mean, the Holy Spirit has joined us here, and the other thing that I committed, and I don't know why or how it happened, but everybody that comes through here and sits in these seats, I pray with them. And I have seen some amazing, just almost personality changes in how that's happened. And so when I come, like, would this be my choice? I mean, I've said this before, and don't take away my media credentials, please. I don't really care about football. I mean, I start watching it. We watch a few games throughout the season. We like to do whatever on Sunday. But the whole couple of weeks before this is when I start paying attention, and I actually do get excited to go, whoa, and I'm rooting for teams to go, boy, I hope these guys go, and I feel bad for the Chiefs because they're getting that Patriot, they're getting a Patriot bad reputation, but they're a great team. I mean, you couldn't have a better, more upstanding, Christ-centered team than the Chiefs. I mean, holy cow. And same thing, the Eagles are here. Like, those guys talk about Jesus nonstop as well. So there is this interesting thing that it always makes me wonder, what's God going to do this year? Like, how's he going to surprise us? And that's the thing that I'm really excited about, of going, whether I like the thing or not, we're here for something else that's so far and above beyond the biggest game in the world, you know? And so that's super exciting. But just like you guys, gosh, I wish I got more sleep. It's brutal. It's the hardest week of our lives, and people don't understand that.
Yeah, no, that's very true. I mean, like, I think it is, like, as hard as this week is, at the same time, it's cool. It's a blast. It's an absolute blast. And I think that even the coolest part of like this week just going through and, you know, even being so tired, it's awesome to see how the players will say that it's not even about football, you know, that there's a higher purpose and then there's a higher reason that they play, you know. And I think that's a cool part too of this week is seeing like kind of what you said, you know, like maybe I could care less about football, but this is a state, you know, they can say the name of Jesus and they can they can pray, and it's seen by so many. So yeah.
Amanda, what are your thoughts here?
So many thoughts. I mean, I was just editing some melt reels together, and I was, like you said, it's encouraging to see how many players are like it's football, you know.
Yeah.
But like
just football.
It's football, you know. And one of them said it's a stage to glorify God, and it's just very, I don't know, different from what you would expect, especially when all the other interviews are talking about, I don't know, football stuff, actual football stuff.
Stats and plays and play-by-play and stuff like that.
Yeah. And so it's really fun to go and get that different side of who they are and their story and share that. And then also just hear about their families too.
Yeah.
And
really
how God has got them to where they are.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, anything else you're thinking of you feel like sharing? Yeah.
I don't know. Thank you for taking us on this trip. Truly, I feel very blessed and honored to be a part of this and to learn as much as I have, both personally and professionally. I just, I thank you so much.
Well, I love you guys, and it's a blast to be here with you. I love seeing the level at which you take it. I mean, you guys make me look good, so keep doing it. And I'm so proud of you and thankful that you're here, man. So very cool. Well, I'll release Steven so that he can go over and let's place and you can release too. Let's play the total athlete package, and then we'll bring in the football guys and let them kind of take us home tonight. I mean, after my conversation, then they can do their thing, right? So yeah. We have one of our we're producing reels every night basically of everything that's going on, and the cool thing is that, gosh, there's so much footage, there's so many things that are happening, and it's hard for us to even get to it all and put it together. So we'll play this short piece now that I think is the total athlete conversation, and that if you've heard us talk about it, that's basically the mind, body, soul conversations we've been having, the physical, the mental, and the spiritual that has to do with the program that we're partnering here with AIA on. So you can roll that package and we'll go from there.
Mind, body, and soul. I'm a very spiritual person at the end of the day. I think getting your mind right and prepares the entire body. You know what I mean? I think at the end of the day, whenever you're getting your mind right, I think you're putting yourself ahead for your body to be in shape leading up to the anticipation of a game. Having your mind right goes with a lot of things. It goes with, how fast you react on the field, how fast you're able to get over a bad play. I think it all comes together at one point. And I think at the end of the day, spirituality has gotten me here, honestly, I feel like. And I think it's a great thing to have a great head on your shoulders.
To me, I feel like they all got to be connected and in tune with, one another. Your mind's got to be connected to body, soul, everything. It makes it all up, yeah.
What's my mindset? Oh, man, to play free and have fun. You know what I'm saying? This is the Super Bowl. I just want to play free, have fun. It's the last game of the year. You know what I'm saying? So, before I go back home until it's nothing. So I'm going to go out here, have fun, enjoy it, and just attack the day.
I think you need something that grounds you when you're going through challenges and ups and downs. Specifically in a game like football, there's a lot of pressures and stresses that are involved with that. And if you don't have something concrete to reflect back on and to keep you centered, it's very easy to lose focus, lose track, and start going down some roads that you don't want to go down. So I think as far as the spirit goes, that's what connects everything, right? That's what you want to build your platform on top of. And then your body is more physical. Keep it in good shape. You need to do the things that you need to do to honor it. And your mind is your powerful tool. That's how you make decisions. That's how you operate from. So they each serve their purpose, but the spirit is kind of what connects them all at the end of the day.
Mind, body, and soul. I love that. To me, I just think about like being a total player. In order to be the best at your sport, to be the best football player, I think it takes all three of those.
I play a very, unique position. I'm a long snapper, so being that I am a long snapper, it requires me to be incredibly focused on my job. I only am out there for maybe 5 to 10 times in a game. So for me, being as calm as possible, collecting my thoughts out before I go out and snap the ball is so important. I'm not a player who likes to get hyped up before games or anything like that. My biggest thing is to stay as calm as possible. So my mental, my body, my physical, everything is so important to really lock into a game. And it's so important for me as a specialist because we're expected to be perfect all the time.
Definitely just, staying with your faith, mentally, spiritually, and then also, physically being prepared, what we go through during the season.
Oh man, that's everything. Your mindset going into every game, every practice, every day, and just renewing your mind. It's like any other muscle. You gotta train it like anything else. Body, you gotta obviously have your body trained and well taken care of to be able to compete. And soul, and I think that might be, maybe the most important one of all three. Like you got to have your soul right, man. Like it shows up on the field how you're living and stuff like that, and your time you take with God, and yourself and your family and your relationships and where your soul's at. This is such an important part of our sport.
All right, and we're back on FSPN. I am Tyler Corvo, and I'm here with Aiden Poirier. You heard a little bit from us yesterday, but we are back again for the next 40-ish.
And here's a little bit of behind the scenes so you can see what we see. I mean, I call this the cockpit view, right? We're sitting at the table doing this thing, and here's what it looks like behind the scenes, right? Everybody's working, doing their thing. And you can see behind us Radio Row and just how crazy it is and stuff like this. So, all right. Well, you can take me off. These guys are going to do their thing for a little bit, and then I will come back and join them so that we can have a conversation and wrap up the show today. All right? Cool. Well, have fun, guys.
Alrighty, so back to what I was saying, we roughly have about 40-ish minutes left here to kind of wrap up actually our last night here at Radio Row. It's been a long week already, and it's still only Friday, but it's been a crazy time so far. You heard a little bit from us yesterday, kind of talking about our first few days of experience and kind of the things that we were working on from opening night to Radio Row to hotel interviews to, I don't even know, nonstop conference stuff, editing, making reels and packages that we're posting. And so it's kind of been a nonstop grind for all of us, going to bed very late at night. But yeah, so I guess now we can just kind of continue to talk about kind of our experience and kind of the faith aspect in it. I know me and Aiden, since the last time we talked, we've had a lot of things happen to us, a lot of players and celebrities that we've seen. And so we'll kind of dive deeper a little bit into that. And yeah, let's pass it off to Aiden. And we also have some packages we'll show to you here soon of some of the interviews that we had that we haven't shown quite yet to you guys.
But not right now. That's a little bit. But yeah, today has just been all at Radio Row, which has been a little interesting because usually we're just flipping back and forth a ton between all these different places, getting on buses to go in places. So that's been kind of nice to just kind of chill today. We walked around for probably 3 hours trying to just get one player interview. And it's a little difficult because they have a tight schedule. They're constantly running from place to place, and we weren't able to get any. unfortunately, because the few times that we did get to talk to them or their PR agent, they like immediately had to go to something. So it was mostly just walking around and just getting videos of every celebrity we saw. So I guess, Tyler, what's the celebrity you were the most surprised to see here that you weren't expecting?
Oh man. Honestly, I would probably say Tyreek Hill. Also Terrell Davis as well. There's just certain athletes like where you wouldn't think would be here, like, or they just play a different sport. Like I think we've seen some soccer players over in Europe, UFC, maybe. I saw a women's fighter as well, few Olympic athletes. So it's just kind of a wide range of athletes that are here that you wouldn't expect to be here. Also big celebrity names. We're kind of walking around here as well. So yeah, you can't really expect anything here on Radio Row. I don't know if you guys were watching just a little less than an hour ago, but we had the Colts mascot literally come up to us with the blanket on the name of the league, but literally one of the European soccer trophies, not a replica, the real thing. And the Colts mascot is just walking around with this thing and literally just smacked it down on our table and started messing with us. So like, honestly, you have no idea what you're going to expect at Radio Row. And it's just a crazy and fun experience, but I would have to go with Tyreek Hill. Just being here, walking around. And another thing we've noticed too, at least I've noticed as well when you're walking around, is like, there's so many celebrities that like, you can't even like names of them. Like you recognize their face and you're like, this guy has to be popular because he's got like 50 security guards around him. But you're like, I have absolutely no idea his name or like what sport he played or association or anything. But also too, you see past players, alumni from the NFL having their own podcasts. So we walked past Cam Newton live with some other players. We've seen, Terrell Davis, as I mentioned before. Like there's just a wide range of players, that you just see kind of walking around, and you can kind of tell too because a lot of them are wearing their past Super Bowl rings if they did win. So it's just kind of a cool thing to be able to, experience and see.
Yeah, one of the most infuriating things is when I get on Twitter and then I see a name to a face on there and I'm like, that guy was all by himself and I just did not recognize him. We totally could have got an interview. So there's like so many people here that even like me, who I'd say is a pretty big football fan, you could pretty easily miss out on. Because also they wear helmets all the time too. Right. It's not like the NBA where you constantly know what everybody looks like. You're going to know what all the superstars look like, but so does everybody else. So everybody's trying to get an interview in. But for me, the biggest celebrity I was surprised to see is I saw Terry Crews today, which I was not expecting at all. Yeah. Do you know who that is? Yeah. I think he's on Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I think that's the show. Yeah. And I was like, oh, interesting. And the guy who hosts American Ninja Warrior, I also saw, but he was a former Packer player. So that's probably why he was here as well. For Radio Row today, it was a little more dead than yesterday, which was a big surprise, especially. And I was expecting to just see a lot more people that we didn't see before, but it was a lot of the same people, especially. And
I feel like it was the rookie quarterbacks that were kind of doing a constant rotation. You had Jane Daniels, you had Bryce Young. They were kind of making, and of course, you should talk about Winston and what he was up to.
So I don't think I've gone an hour without seeing Jameis Winston today. He's just everywhere in every booth all the time. We've tried to get him on a few occasions across the weekend. Man, he's just so busy and packed. I saw him doing one of the, the arcade football game where you like try to throw in the hole, and he was the bounty one? Yeah, it was over there. No, it wasn't the bounty one. It was like an actual arcade one that they just brought in here. And I'm not kidding. He missed like 3 out of every 4 throws. So made me feel a little better about my performance on those at Dave & Buster's back when I was 12. So yeah, he's been just, honestly, I could just like walk around and watch him all the time. He's been a fun guy. And we've had multiple times where we've seen him praying over people, just like in the, I think on the Pat McAfee show today, even he went ahead and prayed over all of them. And that's a show that a few years ago, actually, has said some pretty harsh things about Christianity. So I thought that was really interesting, and just shows more that the space is becoming a lot more open to the idea of prayer and Christianity.
Yeah.
And I think that actually started with the Damar Hamlin situation, because they prayed live on air for that.
I found it interesting too with the Pat McAfee show. Like when you're walking around Radio Row, like you honestly become oblivious to the celebrities because there's just so many of them. So you're just like, whatever. Like, and you see their face, like maybe I know him, I don't. Like, I'm a huge Kenny Chesney's fan as a country artist, you know, and I had absolutely no idea that he was the one that was on Pat McAfee. So it's like you walk past him, you're like, oh, just another guy, you know, whatever. It's like, no, that's Kenny Chesney. You know, I had no idea, and I'm a huge Vino fan of his music. So it's just kind of crazy how those things kind of play out.
You want to go?
Oh, what did I miss?
Just talk about Radio Row, basically, and how, do you want me to take the mic or no? Okay. Basically how people were just walking around all the time, and it's like, it just kind of normalized now for us almost.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Well, so you didn't do your high lows or anything yet? Yeah. Okay, cool. So I still get to ask those questions. And then, I'll probably hand the thing back to you. You guys are doing a great job. That actually, I think, is probably one of my highs, is how well you guys really pulled off the show and made it look cool. And a lot of things we could roll in. And I think your knowledge and understanding of it and being able to have this conversation, not be intimidated, was really awesome. So good job, man. Keep it up. Yeah, very cool. Well, I don't know. High lows, Buffalo. What's been cool so far?
Oh man, I think the low, as I mentioned before, was me dropping my camera equipment. I was just, don't buy a basic Amazon backpack for starters. Get a nicer bag if you can. But yeah, the zipper broke. It went everywhere. And also though, I left my charger as well in the media workroom. But with that, you kind of learn that like people in media are pretty respectful, I think, of gear. And, you know, so I feel like it wasn't that too big of a deal. It's just a small charger, but it just kind of goes to show that people are respectful in the media settings for that. High, definitely opening night still, I think. Kind of mixed with Radio Row as well. Just opening night interviewing quarterbacks was probably my favorite part. Just being able to ask those faith-based questions and those being broadcasted everywhere. It's just such a cool experience. And then besides that, yeah, Radio Row, literally doing this right now is so much fun. Walking around, connecting with people, just seeing celebrities like you wouldn't think you would see in players as well. So I'd definitely say that. Buffalo, come back to me on that one.
Okay.
For a high for me, I've talked a few times about how big of a Packers fan I am, and Charles.
Oh, we're out of time. Well, thanks.
No, you guys have destroyed us in the playoffs, so you win that one. But Charles Woodson was a player that I had his jersey growing up, and I liked him a lot, especially. And he was one of the broadcasters that Fox had. So he was at the press conference, and I got to ask him a question, and he actually told a story about this one quote that he had that I have remembered since I was 6 years old, because they were playing against the Bears in the conference championship game back in 2010. And Barack Obama was the president at the time, and he was a huge Bears fan. So Barack Obama said he'd only go to the Super Bowl if the Bears went.
And you were like 3, right?
6. It was my first year watching football. So it set the bar a little too high when we won the Super Bowl in the end. But I remember Charles Woodson in the locker room afterwards. After we beat the Bears to go to the Super Bowl, he said, Barack Obama not going to come to the Super Bowl, so we going to see him because the winning team goes to the White House. Yeah. And I remember that as a kid, because I remember asking my dad, Dad, what does that mean? And then he explained all that. And then so I asked Charles Woodson what his favorite Super Bowl memory was or something. And he talked for 3 minutes, it was a long time. But he talked about how this one time when they were a guy on the team was playing piano and they were all gathered around, and that's when he knew that they were locked in and they were going to win. And I was like, that's actually really interesting. And then he also talked about that quote, which I thought was really cool. So that was just a really unique and fun experience. My low, we've mentioned it many times, but the hot tub, because I like to edit out on the pool deck, because that's still been really, really nice and fun at night. But there's so many times I look at it, I'm like, man, it looks hot from here, and it looks nice, but I can't get in because it's going to be awful. Yeah, right. And then my Buffalo,
Come back down.
yeah, Right now, it would probably be like off the top of my head, just a YouTuber that I've been watching since 2019. Actually got to sit him down for an interview today, so that was pretty cool. So that's a high and a Buffalo, I guess.
Cool, awesome. Well, let's see what else. How about how do you feel like you handled tech stuff, or what was your experience of before you came and now that you've been here? What are the differences between those?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I've been using cameras before this as well, since I'm probably about a year into doing camera stuff. So I was feeling pretty confident coming in. But when it came to the actual moment, when like setting up for a quarterback and, doing this kind of thing, I kind of freeze and I'm like, oh no, like, okay, I need to figure this out. Like what settings do I need to change? What the ISO do I need to do? But I've kind of been in that pressured media stuff before, so I wasn't too concerned coming into this, but yeah, it's been fun.
So Tyler won't brag about himself, but I will for you. Tyler's one of the most talented photographers we have at CCU, and I think that's a very, very well agreed upon thing. So the fact that he was even stressful about it makes me feel a little bit better. But for me, it was audio. I've just always hated audio. That's like my least favorite part of video, even though it's the most essential part. People always say 85% of a movie is its sound. And that actually has not been a problem at all, which was a little surprising to me. Now, like getting the frequencies registered, that's been a problem, but the actual audio itself was pretty nice. And then screwing in the plates for the tripods, that's been the most difficult part. I'm definitely gonna start using quarters a lot more to do that.
Carry quarters with you. No, that's the same. It's funny. I threw a bunch of quarters in my bag, and my wife's like, "What are you like parking or something?" I'm like, "No, this is the screwdriver that works best." Well, and the other thing is, it's interesting. In the years past, when we've been here, we've actually gone through security, and they haven't let, like, I throw a Leatherman in my bag, but I got to make sure it's not in there for the airport, right? Because I'm going to lose it. Well, I brought it here, but I was really hesitant about it because past times they've taken it in security here. And I'm like, guys, those are our tools. You can't take that. Well, you can't tell. We're security. Yeah, great. You're a lughead, man. Like, come on. We need to get through here with this stuff. I mean, there's so many things. Don't get me wrong. We need security. I mean, especially here, a lot of stuff going on a couple weeks before we came. A lot of crazy stuff. But, it is interesting. All the little secret things that you're like, don't forget this, don't forget that, all the little stuff that's going on. So that's cool. Well, what else? How about the whole experience of before you got here, expectations, and after you got here?
Oh, man. Just because I've done media stuff in the past, I kind of had similar expectations, but I wasn't expecting it to be at this level of, if just looking around with the amount of companies that here, it's overstimulating. Like I was not expecting, this much going on, pretty much like a whole village being set up within this convention center of the experience, Radio Row, media workrooms, all those kind of things. It was just kind of overstimulating at first, but now I'm kind of getting in the groove of it more. But it's just a fun thing to experience.
What else might you have trained for? Like now that you're here,
yeah.
What are the things you wish? How would you figure it out? I wish I knew this before I got here.
I wish maybe like going forward for Radio Row, for example, like how to, I guess, approach an athlete or maybe their PR people to kind of get an interview. Sure. I feel like that would be important for maybe the next Super Bowl. If, we see somebody that we know or high profile athlete, it's like, okay, how do I approach them? How do I reach out? Cause they're right. And they're rushed and they have to get to their next interview. So you kind of have to time it in a way so then they're open to, coming over to you.
Yeah. Well, and you can see that too. Like when you go over, hey man, they're already like, well, somebody's looking at their watch, somebody's looking at the schedule, and there's 3 people pushing you away, right? It's really crazy. Okay, so before and after.
In regards to like expectations. So I'm a big dreamer to my detriment a lot of the times. So this is one of the few things I think in my life that has blown my expectations out of the water. Being on the field for opening night, I've been on a football field, so I knew what that would feel like, but like going up and interviewing players, that was like pretty cool. Radio Row especially, like I've been to conventions before, but this is like 4 times the size of every single one that I've been to. Yep. And I've been to some decently big ones before, so that says something. And as far as like press conferences, that's the thing that I really just had no idea what to expect for, because you see them on TV all the time, but there's so much going on behind that camera. And I was actually surprised how many people are like just talking like 4 feet from the microphone all the time, because you never hear it on TV.
Right.
So that was something that I just didn't expect to happen at all.
Yeah, interesting. I don't know. What other things, man? What else is standing out for you of just the whole experience of being here and other thoughts? I mean, like I said, I'm actually going to, I mean, if you don't have any other things, I'm going to hand it back to you guys and let you have fun doing your thing, man. What are the final thoughts for me?
Oh man, kind of going back to what you were saying about, interviewing. I've had a little interview experience before, but I've never been in a space where you have like 50 people all trying, to ask the same question. So I guess another like before and after type thing, like preparing, I guess, for that in a way, like how to
How do you practice that? I mean, no, seriously.
yeah, right.
Now that you've been here, how do you practice the experience of trying to get your question in over 50 other people?
I mean, what I've noticed other top reporters do is you have to push your way through. You got to, like you saying, you got to stand your ground. You got to maintain eye contact with them. And I've noticed too that while you're asking a question, if you continue to keep that eye contact, they'll stay locked in on you and you can continue to ask another one. But the minute they finish their answer, you have to ask your next question, or else they'll drift off and look for somebody else to answer. But yeah, just those like small things that you notice actually make a huge difference in trying to get an answer out of them.
No, that's cool.
That's all I really have to say is thank you. Like, yeah, thanks for allowing us to have this experience. I don't know if you remember it, but I came in your office like a year and a half ago and I was like, I want to do this, and how do I do this? Yeah. And then you set me down on a path and a trajectory, and it's cool to see it come full circle now. And I'm really thankful for that.
Yeah, no, I remember that meeting, and it was really cool to. I mean, you actually also came to the table with a lot of good experience, and you had said, "Hey, I have this on YouTube, and I've and I've done these other things." So I think you were already headed that way. But you're right. I sent you into the sports world a little bit more, and especially around CCU to play with things, and of course, I mean, you guys have heard me say it even as early as 206, right? Which means something to us. Comp 206 is my introductory class to visual storytelling and digital media. And I usually say, just so you know, I'm watching you. And a lot of people, like, and usually it's those guys don't make it. You know what I mean? But the people, and I will say that most every one of you has come to me for something else to ask something. Like, I can see an initiative that makes me go, there's something a little bit deeper here that's serious. And so I do remember our meeting and what happened. And it was fun to watch you get involved. And well, guess what? Now you're here, right? Yeah. And so that's the cool part. Wow. Anything else? Or can I hand the show back to you and you guys are going to take us home?
Well, I just wanted to say thank you as well. You've given me, so many opportunities through FSPN, from X Games, a Dew Tour. And, I didn't have much experience at all, but you put your faith into me, allowing me to do those things. So I'm just very grateful.
Yeah. I think Steven said it best. I mean, Steven said, trial by fire. Like, I learned stuff by going to do it. I teach stuff, but like I feel bad for you guys sometimes, because I get the students that can't handle it and they're like, well, I'm like, we'll get in there and do it, but I don't know how to do it. Start figuring it out. Right. And so I'm trying to guide people, but a lot of this, and I think some of the teaching side that I offer at CCU comes from the experience of being here. Nobody when you walk in and they do the pass. Now remember, don't do this, and they just give you the pass, and they don't even remind you of the make sure you turn it around. Oh yes, sir. We'll zoom in on you, man. That's okay. Make sure you turn it around. You know what I mean? There's all these things that happen. No, but nobody really explains much to you, and you're like, oh my gosh, how do I do this thing? Right? No, we got it, Steven. It's all good. It's covered by the football, and also I do the zoom in on the other side. So yeah, no, you're right. It's covered by the football. I mean, you guys don't know what we're talking about. We have media credentials, and you're not allowed to wear them anytime you're doing interviews or questions, answering questions. But you can't do anything without them. So we can't, like, we don't take them off because we don't want to lose them, but we usually like turn them around backwards so that you can't see what's going on. But it's a really tough thing to remember. But there's a lot of things like that of when you step in here, kind of like you said, who's going to teach you how to muscle through a crowd and widen yourself? I mean, you guys both felt that. I mean, I assigned these guys to do the quarterback interviews. And at first, I think sometimes people think like that's an insult of, oh, shucks, I don't get to run around. No, man. That 60 minutes of what you're watching, headphones on and everything to make sure it works, those are the best interviews we get. Like NFL style, right? Of the things that are going on. And so that's a really important position. I used to do, I did that for years by myself for both of them. And I really enjoyed it because I was like, wow, this is really important. And you're right. You're watching Iris. You watch, like, there's so many things to keep track of, you know, is the battery level going down? Like, please don't go dead during the interview. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of cool things like that. And so from your standpoint, it's neat to see you step up to that. But again, there's a lot of these things that there's no way to experience it before you get here and experience. I mean, now you go, whoa, now I know exactly what they're talking about because you've been in it, right? So, yeah, very cool. Well, like I said, I'm really proud of you guys and love the conversations that you're having. I know there's probably one more package to play, and I'll let you guys kind of drive that. But anything else, final thoughts before I step away? I'm going to let you guys take us home and right to the top of the hour.
I don't know if I have anything left.
Okay.
Do you have anything?
Fly, Eagles, fly.
Yeah, man, come on. All right, I'm going to let you guys do your thing and have fun. And you got like 10, 15 minutes left?
Okay. Well,
nice. Spread out.
Yep.
Alrighty. Well, so that was that. We had Stanbrook pop in and talk with us. So let's take a quick break here. We'll talk a little bit more after we take this little highlight package of some more interviews that are me and our team, all of us, conducted together. So we'll take a look at that, and then we'll be back here in a few minutes.
Family are the two biggest things I think that drive me, being able to, you know, support my family, being able to just give back the thanks to them and give back the thanks to my God. I'd say they're the two biggest things.
They've been real important to me. That's my lifeline. That's who I do it for. And, like, that's what it's all about. Getting here, being in these moments, and be able to reflect on your past and thank all the loved ones that helped you get here to this point. And, yeah, they mean everything.
I mean, without them, I definitely wouldn't be in this situation. They support me, you know, through thick and thin, and had a lot of ups and downs. So I definitely owe a lot of my success to them.
Blessed to have an incredible family. I always have. Been with me ever since the beginning. I went to a military college, which was tough on them and me, and they supported me all the way through. And then 5 years in the league, definitely wouldn't have made it this far without their help the whole way.
Family, I mean, they've sacrificed so much for me to get to this point, driving me across the country, you know, going to different college camps, trying to get a scholarship to play in the college level. They've helped me out so much.
Probably my parents, you know, they definitely helped me out, you know, in terms of growing me up the right way in the church, and I have a really strong family and support system that, you know, helped me through all the ups and downs of my career, and that's been really important for me. So.
I was around my dad a lot, but he played a lot of sports and bounced around a lot of different cities, and so my mom was always there, and she was the one taking me to sporting events. She was the one staying up late, I never slept, let me play baseball around the hotel room or whatever that is, and she played an important impact in my life on who I am today, and I'm glad that she'll be here for the Super Bowl.
You know, we put a lot of hours, obviously, into our profession, and so every moment that you have off, like sometimes one coach told me a long time ago, if you want to be a football coach, you can't have a lot of hobbies, because if you can't be a football coach, have a lot of hobbies, and have a family. And so, you know, all the moments that I don't have in football, I try to spend with my kids and my wife. And then, you know, it's finding time to carve out for God every day, every single day.
It's always a balance, and if I've learned anything, it's to try to make the time that I am with my family the most quality time I possibly can, and a lot of time that's leaving my phone in the car, you know, and just forgetting about it and being present for those couple of hours I have with them before they go to sleep at night.
I think more than anything, it gives me a better perspective on life. I mean, I might have bad days, But when I go home and see that smile on that face, man, you can't have a bad day because you know you're a father at the end of the day. And being able to win these games, I was the kid in the locker room with my dad, and I have so many great memories. And for them to be able to experience the Super Bowl and hopefully get that confetti on the field, those will be moments I have, but moments they'll have for the rest of their life.
You know, I got kids that need me as a daddy, and you know, wife that needs me as a husband. So it was easy after the game. So the game got over with, I turned straight to daddy mode. You know what I'm saying? I love my kids because my wife do a great job of taking care of my family while I'm working. So she give me the peace and the peace I need to be able to be the person I need to be for this team. So it's only right for me to go, as soon as the season over with, I need to be the person she needed me to be.
All right, and we are live. Welcome back to Radio Row in New Orleans for probably the final time. Tyler, I figured we could talk about the actual game on Sunday for a little bit for this final portion. So I know you're a big Broncos fan, so naturally you hate the Chiefs, but I'm wondering if through your interactions with all the players, if that's changed at all.
See, I kind of had a feeling you were going to ask this because, yeah, I mean, look, as a Broncos fan, I'm supposed to hate the Chiefs, right? And I feel like for the longest time, I have disliked the Chiefs. And when I heard, that they won the championship and they were on their way over for the Super Bowl, I was like, I'm not looking forward to interviewing these players just because, being a Broncos fan, it's just like they've always dominated us, it seems like, and they seem to win every single year, right? Being the top of our division and whatnot. But after interviewing a lot of players, they were honestly my favorite to interview between the both teams because they are very well media trained, 100%. When we were talking to Jason just last night about when we were editing and looking through some of the opening night packages, can't remember the player's name, but two different teams of ours asked him the same question, and he literally answered it the same way, word for word. Like, it's crazy to think how well they're media trained, which is crazy. Some of the other players as well, also media trained, and they really did talk about their faith, and it was just so cool because their answers felt genuine. I felt like with the Eagles, like there was just not much depth into their answers. So I felt like with the Chiefs, it was just another experience, and it was just awesome. So personally, for me, it kind of does change my view on the Chiefs players going forward. Honestly, now with the game, I feel like I don't care who wins in a way, just because, like, even just with the Eagles too, I feel like I'm not creating like a connection with them, but just kind of some sort of personal connection with them just based off of the interview questions, and answers. And so you almost feel like you know them just a little bit on a personal level. So it's like, okay, these guys are really cool. You only hear from analysts or Pat McAfee or Twitter or Instagram about how a player is, but deep down they really are just a human besides being a celebrity or an athlete, and they've got important things to say and faith and whatnot. So personally for me, I don't care which team wins. It was just cool to share an experience and a connection with them.
Yeah, so after the Chiefs won, I texted my friends that I'm not watching the Super Bowl. That's definitely going to change. So that's one part that I've definitely taken away from this. But I think what this experience did more than anything was really humanize the players. Like, you still understand, yeah, these are just humans, but you don't really understand until you just like are actually there in front of them for an hour talking about life. And then they just like talk about their families or something like that. And like, you just talk to them like they're your buddy at a lunch table. Yep. Like, that's when it really starts to click in. And now I don't think, honestly, in the same boat as you, I don't think I'm rooting for the team. Like, I'm rooting for the players that we talk to. And I honestly, like, if they could both win, I would pick it. Like, I want number 49 on the Eagles, Rick Lovato. He's their long snapper. He recently, in the past, I think 2 years, him and his wife had a miscarriage. And I know it would mean a lot if they could win it. And number 23 on the Chiefs, his Bible verse, or his number is after a Bible verse. I think it's number 90 you talked to. He had to go through a lot of rehab for his knee that he hurt. And he talked about how he thanks God every day for that. So I wish everybody could win, which is something my grandma would probably say about football. She feels bad for everybody who loses all the time. So I'm adopting her mindset, I guess, now. But yeah, I mean, I'd probably root for the Eagles a little more because the Chiefs have won it the last 2 years. So most of these players have already won a Super Bowl. But I'll be honestly content either way, I'd say.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. And when you're kind of talking about before some of those interviews, like one of them really stuck out with me with one of the Chiefs players. I'm blanking on his name, but he talked about how he came from Nigeria in a small town of 50, 100, I think. And now he's on the biggest stage in the world, playing in the Super Bowl. So it's just so cool to see how God can work in someone's life and take somebody from such a small thing and, globalize them and use them for, his good. So that was just super cool. And I felt like too, just the rookies in general just had good stories with their faith. And, being in their first year and already being at the Super Bowl is just a crazy thing, to think about. And yeah.
Yeah, it's been a really transformative experience, I'd say. So I'll actually have you go first on this, of course, because it's easier for me then. But how has this experience transformed your own faith throughout the past 5 days?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like overall, as we've heard from Athletes in Action, some of those other people, like there's growth needed and there needs to be people to help do it. We need to be the ones to help these athletes share their story because, like the Athletes in Action said, they're either embarrassed or they're scared to do it, so they need someone to kind of nudge them to start telling their story. And so, God is using us and other, Christian like Sports Spectrum and those people here, to really be able to help the players share their story. And I feel like that's so much needed. We kind of talked about before about kind of what the past looked like in the NFL where faith was not shown at all. Players didn't show them praying on camera or like any of those things. And now you see with games, players literally praying in the center of the field, either before and after a game with the other team. Like that shows a lot of maturity because, it takes a lot after either getting blown out by the other team or, a crazy loss. Like no matter what, they come together and they pray because they know they have the higher calling. And at the end of the day, no matter the score, whatever, like football and all that doesn't matter. Their relationship with Christ and creating new followers of Christ is so much more important.
Yeah, so probably about 2 weeks before the trip, I started to actually get pretty nervous about it. And then I started to actually calm my mind about it a lot more when I shifted my view from it, from being, oh no, I have to interview Patrick Mahomes, that's so nerve-wracking, what am I going to do, to I actually get an opportunity to advance the kingdom of God in a way that's unlike any other. And viewing it almost more as like a missionary trip in that sense. Not fully, but pretty close in that sense. And I think that really calmed me down throughout this. And I've actually seen ways that through what the players have said, like it's impacted me, what they've said. Like it's not like I need to get this and then I'm going to shoot it out and then maybe it'll go out and impact somebody. Like, no, it's already firsthand impacted me. Like one night I was editing Patrick Mahomes footage and he talked about how he hopes that other people can find Christ so they can find the joy in life that he has. And that was just a good reminder for me of the joy that we do get to have in this life because of our relationship with Christ. So I think getting these firsthand experiences, one, makes them feel super personal. And it almost feels like this is actually, I went into this thinking God needs to use me. Well, not needs. God is using me in this experience to go help other people when actually he put me here, right now, because he knows this is something I also needed in my own faith journey.
Yeah. No, I'm just going off what you said, I'm just so excited to see what the future of the NFL is going to look like with players just showing, their faith and whatnot, because it's a global stage. It's much needed. It's been awesome to see some of the players that do show that, like CJ Stroud or, even some of the younger rookies, Bryce Young, those guys are super open with their faith. And, you even got bigger people that like Tim Tebow, for example, right? God had an even higher calling for him to help with human trafficking stuff. And now he's on the global stage being able to share the gospel to, NFL players and whatnot. So it's just super cool to see how some of these players are transformed, for the future.
Yeah, I think it's really cool to see all of the almost desegregation of faith and all these aspects of like media and sports. I remember when I was a kid, like you never heard players talk about their faith. You never heard media even ask those questions, and it's starting to really come into their own together. And I think this is a space that will be especially helpful for people who, people are on social media, like whether you like it or not, that's where they are. And I think it's our job as Christians to go to where people are and meet them where they are in those spaces. And I think through athletes is such a great way, because those are huge role models. Like when I was a kid, Aaron Rodgers was my hero. Like if I could hear him talk about his faith, that probably would have helped me a lot as a kid, or inspired me, or just any other player that I looked up to.
Yeah, for me it was Steph Curry. Yeah. He's really one of those first NBA athletes that really expressed his faith. And as a little kid, it was like, oh, he's super good at basketball, but he's also a Christian, and he had his I'm blanking on the name of his brand, but I had one of the bracelets. I'm blanking what it said on it. Might have said I'm a believer or something, but it wasn't the I Am Second thing. But that's also a really cool organization that I got to watch in middle school, and it's grown to a global scale, including people like Dude Perfect and other top Christian influencers. But yeah, Steph Curry for sure was, for me, that it was just super cool because he's showing his faith aspect. But I feel like that's much needed for our generation, especially as Gen Zers. It's crazy for us with social media and whatnot, so we really need those role models in sports and other areas as well that are really willing to express their faith.
Yeah, and I think as a kid growing up, I always thought you can't be cool and Christian. It's like one or the other, or you can't have fun and be Christian. I think it's because a lot of people told me all about what Christianity didn't do and what we weren't about more than what we were about. And I think these athletes going ahead and using their platform to say, Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior, and he's the only reason I get to do what I do. And I'm like, wow, like they're attributing that the fact that they're a professional football player all to God. And I think hearing that as a kid, because I struggled with my faith in high school a lot, and I think laying more of a foundation when I was a child, we all have a point we need to make of our faith our own, but hearing from it more than just our parents, even though that's incredibly instrumental in any person's faith. But hearing it from other role models, people you look up to in your life as a kid is really important.
Yeah, so I think we're coming in at 4:59 here, so I think we can just wrap it up here. I think we had a lot of good things to say, and I felt like what we were just talking about was a good way to kind of finish off our week here in New Orleans. Personally, this was just an amazing experience. I'm assuming both of us will be back next year. I don't know how long our show will be next year, maybe even longer. We'll see what's going on, but yeah, personally, I want to thank all the viewers who've been able to tune in and watch this. Thank you for being able to listen to us, and also hearing what the players, coaches, and what I had to say about their faith. And as we said, this is a super important thing that we would love to continue to grow, showing players' faith. And so, yeah, firstly, for me, I'd like to say thank you. Thank you for coming along for the ride.
Shout out to Steven for running the live stream this whole time. Little shout out for him. But yeah, that's a shout out for everybody. Yes. Shout out to Amanda, Steven, Isabella, because Steven just threw the live streaming at her and she actually did pretty good at it. Danny and Izzy for getting harassed by the Colts mascot and giving us good content. And then shout out to Jason and Jess as well. But no
matter what, we'll be seeing you live next year in San Fran.
Yep. And that's all we got for today, folks.
Broncos.
Yep. All right.